What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily, and in this video, we will be unboxing the brand new iPhone 14 Pro Max. Now, the one I have here is the sort of new space black color, which I'm really interested to check out. And of course, along with the usual camera upgrades, processor boost, battery life increase, this new iPhone 14 Pro Max also has what Apple calls their dynamic island. Sort of a new take on the selfie camera notch, which isn't a notch anymore, obviously, and has a number of new features actually that we'll definitely check out. But first, let's just quickly unbox this thing so I can show you what comes inside the package. And honestly, there's not a whole lot. Sliding off the lid of the box here, the first thing we get is the phone itself. And right away, I have to say, this space black color is super nice. The matte glass is kind of a dark gray. The stainless steel trim is an even deeper black for contrast. I think this is one of the best shades of space black Apple has offered yet. This one really looks good. As far as your included accessories, you guys know you get just the bare essentials nowadays. There's a lightning to USB-C cable and a small stack of paperwork and instructions, along with that iconic Apple sticker. So with all that stuff out of the way, here is the new space black iPhone 14 Pro Max once again. And as soon as you power this phone on and start to set it up, you're definitely going to notice a couple of new things. First off, that new notch or camera cutout area up top, whatever you want to call it, the iPhone has looked the same for a number of years now. So as weird as it sounds, this is definitely different. And here in the US, the iPhone now also has ditched the SIM card. It's SIM-free, no SIM card tray anymore. So when you go to set this phone up, you have a new step that helps you migrate over to an eSIM with your carrier provider. This was also a somewhat controversial move, and I'm interested to hear setup went for you guys if you have this phone, so let me know how it went in the comments below. Physically, the new iPhone 14 Pro Max looks basically identical to last year's phone, but there are a couple of design cues that set it apart and kind of force you to get a new case too, unfortunately. At 6.7 inches, it's the exact same size as last year's phone, of course, and even the width, thickness, and weight are all very close. Everything else for the most part on the phone itself is the same. Same power and volume buttons, same lightning port and speaker setup, same stainless steel frame, all polished and looking shiny. It's a very familiar fit, finish, and form factor. I should mention though that around back the camera module and lenses are technically a bit larger across the board. Sort of hard to tell, but the camera area is wider, each lens is bigger, and that means if you had a precision cut case for your 13 Pro Max, it likely won't fit on this new iPhone 14 Pro Max. Since you're probably going to need a new case anyway, I'd highly recommend getting a Defy case. Not just because they were kind enough to sponsor this video and send me a heck of a care package too, but because they also have the widest selection of colors and designs available, and their cases give you all the best possible protection for your device. Defy sent over a few of their different cases here for me to use on my new iPhone. There's a couple of their pre-made styles and a couple custom ones. These are their Impact and Ultra Impact cases, and they are specifically designed to take a beating. No matter what style you choose, all of Defy's cases are made from high-quality, impact-absorbing material that's friendly for the environment too. Their products are made from 65% recycled and plant-based materials. The prints and designs on the back are also a high-quality finish, bold, bright, detailed, and made to last. But most importantly, Defy's newest case lineup for the iPhone 14 is now even more protective than ever, with their latest EcoShock material and twister design that lines the sides and edges of each case and provides 5 times the military standard for protection. And on the Ultra Impact cases, there's even more protection on all 4 corners of the phone, which is perfect for those particularly unlucky impacts. And yes, I did just toss around my brand new phone to test out these cases, and the phone is perfectly fine. By the way, Defy has more than just cases. You can get a screen protector and camera lens cover for 360-degree protection, and they even have these cute phone straps too. From start to finish, Defy offers just fun, unique, and most importantly, ultra protective products. And their iPhone 14 lineup is better than ever. Just browsing their website, there's a ton of great stuff to choose from. So if you're interested, head on over to casedefy.com/techdailyYT or click the link in the video description below for 15% off one of their unique styles. And thanks so much again to Defy for sponsoring this video. Obviously, the biggest visual difference with the new iPhone 14 Pro lineup this year is the redesigned notch or selfie camera camera cutout. If it were just a camera cutout now, that would be different enough. You can see it's smaller, slimmer, all the Face ID sensors and selfie camera stuff is still there in that pill-shaped outline, but it's not just a redesign. It's a new functional area, and depending on the app you're using, that area morphs into something new and displays all kinds of information that you can interact with. So for example, if you set a timer and then go back to the home screen or jump to any other app, the timer will be shown in that dynamic island area. Tapping on it will bring you back to the clock app, long pressing on it will give you some quick options for pausing or resuming the timer, and the dynamic island setup is available for a number of different apps. Apple Maps, for example, has a dynamic island widget that shows directions. Any music app like Apple Music or even a sound or video from Safari will also show up in the dynamic island and let you play and pause whatever it is you're listening to. And the dynamic island is also sort of a new notification area. So text, phone calls, messages, even the silent ringer notification are all shown now in that dynamic island. I suspect eventually all third-party apps will probably utilize the dynamic island in some way. It's honestly a really interesting way to display information. You can have a couple of things going at once as well. It takes some getting used to. I think you're just going to have to sort of jump from app to app to figure out which ones have the dynamic island right now. But this is one of the most unique ways in which any phone company has utilized that camera cutout. And I'm interested to see just how useful it will be with day-to-day usage. The display itself on the new 14 Pro Max has also been updated a bit. It's brighter now mostly, particularly outdoors in direct sunlight. You can expect up to 2000 nits of max brightness, and it's now an LTPO Super Retina XDR OLED panel, which is a mouthful, but it's the bold, colorful, super fluid 120Hz display we had on the 13 Pro Max, just now quite a bit brighter, like I said, which is great. But actually, on the flip side, the iPhone 14 Pros this year have an additional new display feature, a dim feature, which is their always-on display. Now, this isn't new to smartphones, but it's new to the iPhone. And with this, the iPhone will display the day, date, time, your lock screen widgets, and other information and notifications with a dimly lit screen that's on at all times. You can disable this in settings if you want, but I think an always-on display is super useful. It's great to just glance at the time or check a notification, and it was a long time coming for the iPhone. Every other device in the world has had this for forever, but I'm happy to finally see it here. Inside, this new iPhone is once again powered by the newest, latest, and greatest Apple chipset. This year, it's the A16 Bionic processor, still paired with 6 gigs of RAM. And while Apple says this new processor is some percentage faster and more powerful than last year's, I doubt you'll experience a noticeable difference with your average day-to-day use. The last probably 2 or 3 iPhones to me have all felt plenty fast, and to be totally honest, I feel like we've been sort of maxing out how fast some of these phones can really be. It's great that Apple is still innovating with better and better processors, but on a phone like this, even with the most intense apps and games that you can install right now, I don't really think you're going to have any extreme benefits. That's just my opinion. Of course, this phone also ships with the latest iOS 16 update, which offers plenty of new features. The custom lock screen is a personal favorite of mine, and check out my video on customizing that if you're interested. But iOS 16 is also available on most current iOS devices. So if you want to hold off on buying a whole new phone for a while, updating your current phone to iOS 16 is a great way to still get some new features and make your phone feel like it's kind of new. When it comes to the battery and charging, the iPhone 14 Pro Max technically doesn't have any larger size of a battery that I'm aware of compared to last year, but its capacity doesn't really tell the whole story. Apple says this year's iPhones should last at least 1 to 2 hours longer during the course of the day versus last year, which is great. Battery life and longevity to me are one of the most important factors of any smartphone, and as long as Apple is improving in some way, that's the important part. However, the charging speeds and charging standards haven't really changed. This phone still only supports around 20 watts wired charging, 15 watts wireless via MagSafe specifically, and 7.5 watts for everything else wireless, which, considering the competition, is not particularly quick or powerful. Finally, year over year, the biggest changes to the iPhones seem to be in the camera department, and this year is no different, especially with the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Those big new lenses around back pack some brand new hardware, including now a 48 megapixel main lens with a number of new capabilities capabilities, 12 megapixel telephoto lens, and the 12 megapixel ultra wide. The selfie camera was also improved a bit. It's a 12 megapixel shooter once again, just with a better aperture for more low light capabilities. And inside the camera app, you'll now see additional presets for ultra wide, 2x and 3x zoom, 2x and 3x for portraits, all utilizing the new camera hardware in different ways. And in real world use, Apple says the iPhone 14 Pro Max should do even better in low light and night mode specifically. Now, I'm obviously going to put that to the test in my camera comparisons and full review, but it's surprising to me that year after year, Apple continues to improve the camera in noticeable ways. And this year, once again, I think Apple has brought a top 3 camera smartphone to the market, and I'm really excited to see just how good this camera setup is. All in all, while the new iPhone 14 Pro Max is no doubt very familiar, it's still the first departure from the iPhone X design that we've had. As strange as it sounds, the new dynamic island is not just a design change though, but a new way to interact with apps, notifications, and more. Pair that with a brighter screen, improved camera tech, longer battery life, and a fresh new space black color, and I think that's probably enough here to justify an upgrade. But what do you guys think? Is the iPhone 14 Pro Max worth the upgrade? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. Also, be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.